Welcome back to week 3 of the After Hours Gaming League Season 3. In our match between Intel and Palantir, we saw what was, I'm gonna full on go and say it there, one of the best mech TVZ games I've seen in Heart of the Swarm to date. That was some really impressive stuff by AHGL from Palantir, and he was able to revive the fight here between these two big name teams. Of course, we were into game number 4 now, and we're going to see a PVZ, which is actually going to be the first time we've seen one in this matchup. Throughout the past couple of weeks when I've been casting, it's almost been exclusively PVZ in between some of these teams. It's quite interesting. But starting at the top left hand side is our red Protoss player playing for Palantir, looking to even up the scores. He is going to, well, we'll see what he does, because this is a very interesting map, Star Station. It's a very big map, and we'll see what he likes to go for. It is Virot, or Viro. I'm going to go with Viro, just because I believe that's like that silent T version of it. Apologies if it's not, but oh well, that's how the game rolls when you're a commentator and you're not sure about names. His opponent over the top right hand side is the Blue Zerg player for Team Intel. He is a very strong player in the team. In fact, I believe one of the better players in the Intel team. It is Blue Dragon. Now, we will get just a very safe sort of spawning pool starting up right away from Blue Dragon here. Does not want to be caught out by anything fishy coming along from his opponent. Now, we did mention Star Station, a very big map. A very big map. As you can see on the minimap, we've got a very nice, simple, easy to take natural base here. Throw down that hatchery and get started with that. You can also, if you're the Protoss player, of course, well, we'll switch over to Viro's side here. He's gotten started with the Nexus first, of course. Very nice economic style. Then you can wall off. There's a couple of ways to do this. Like I've seen White Rod do this a couple of different ways actually. Where you've got your gateway, your forge or your gateway goes down here, and then your other building can go across here, and then you can full wall this. But obviously most players don't want to do that. But then what you can also do is, I believe, actually let's double check, because I'm not. Yeah, okay, there you go. Yeah, it just sort of fits in here. Now, this does provide an interesting angle of attack depending on where you actually come in from as the opposing player. Like, if you were to come in from this side, you may get a little bit more surface area to attack into this pylon, but just because of the angle of the way this wall works, like instead of going that way, which you'd sort of really want the wall to work like, because you've gone on just a straight line across, this side is a little bit more exposed. So it's not really a massive deal, and I'm just sort of pointing this out, but it's nothing massive that really comes into too much effect in a game, but it is something to consider when you are walling. You've got to be careful of these things. And speaking of walling, we do have a very quick Roach Warren here from Blue Dragon. It looks like he wants to get up with some early Roach pressure. Vero did have a quick look through, but he was not able to scout out that the Roach Warren is already there, not to mention that the gas went up quite quickly as well. So he's going to need to, if he wants to detect that this attack is coming in, he's going to need to send that scouting probe in. But as we were saying, the rest of this map, we got this very nice little architecture with these little like symbols and things. Third base is pretty close to the main base, as we can see here. It's really close, so that you can protect it quite easily. Then you've got these bases through the middle sections that are very interestingly placed. They are covered by a Xel'Naga watchtower on each side. It is important to note that there are 2 watchtowers on the top and the bottom side as well, which do give access to a couple of the attack paths that you can go through. Of course, you can come through this way and be detected. If you come down this way, you're also going to be found out by your opponent, and it looks like Vero is going to see that the early roaches are there. He should be aware of what's going on now. Throws down a couple of extra cannons. Yep, he should be fine now that he will have those available. Going to be some very early burrow from our Blue Dragon, and well, with that switch to the hatchery tech, that enables you to do some interesting things. Of course, you can block off a third base, or potentially sometimes a natural if your opponent goes goes for a very late natural base, but obviously that doesn't happen too often. But you can, of course, use the roaches and utilize the fact that when they're burrowed, they'll get some extra regen. So we'll probably see that our Palantir player Vera is going to be under a little bit of an attack here, but the roaches should not really get through. There's no real way to bust through that at all. 3 cannons well prepared there. He's going to try and perhaps snipe this sentry. Nice micro from Vero to pull it back, just keeping it alive for the time being. The roaches burrow, as you can see, their regen is just going insane when they're burrowed. So that's a very interesting thing to see. It's actually the first time that I've seen someone grab some early roaches with an early roach warren in this matchup since that recent change to the burrow tech. So pretty cool to see that. We will see a lair coming up pretty quickly here at the natural for Blue Dragon. He is continuing to try and drone up behind this. He obviously is quite a little bit behind where he would normally be at this point. You'd normally see him around about even or starting to pull ahead of the Protoss opponent at this point. But for the moment, because of Vera's well-executed defense, he's going to stick in contention for the time being, and it looks like we'll get a robo follow-up to this. I'm thinking that we may actually see just effectively the Heart of the Swarm version of a Sentry Immortal push coming out of Vera here. He's not getting the second Immortal just yet. He's sort of waiting for a bit of minerals to come in, then he will be able to get started on that. He does have 4 gas in total, so there's going to be a lot of gas available to him, and yeah, I really think with that second Immortal coming out that he is going to go for that play. Now, of course, with his opponent going for very early roaches, there is the possibility that Blue Dragon will be able to really hold up and defend against this, and it looks like he is going to go for Hydras as well. Now, this is something which has been very interesting to see, not only in Heart of the Swarm that that Hydras have made their comeback because, of course, the muscular augmentations upgrade, but also in Wings of Liberty, people have been using them as a way to possibly try and counter Immortal Sentry builds, and to some extent, it has worked a tiny bit in GSL. I've seen a couple of players defend quite well with Roach Hydra or Hydra Ling against an Immortal Sentry bust, but we'll have to see if our Zerg player Blue Dragon is going to be prepared for this. He has gotten a 3rd base started. It's almost completed right about now, and he's going to try and get everything nice and saturated up. As we can see here, he's even going for a Nidus Worm down at the bottom left-hand side of Vero's base. We'll see if he is able to get inside. Where are the units? Has he actually got units back at home? Okay, so he does have some lings that have just popped out. The Nidus Worm about to pop. There it is. Jumps out the worm. It's going to unload some of those lings. The lings do not have speed yet, so keep in mind that this attack may not actually be too successful because, well, you know, the ling's not going to actually get any damage done, and in fact, he's not going to bother for some reason. I'm not sure what's going on in the mind of Blue Dragon right now, but he does unload the lings, and unfortunately, the lings run into a massive amount of gateway units along with the Immortals as well. The Nidus Worm goes down, and that attack will be foiled here. So Blue Dragon is going to have to try something else if he wants to stay in contention this game, because the Warp Prism is already out. 3 Immortals are already out on the field and are now going to march across to his opponent's base. And I think that Blue Dragon is going to have no real way of defending against this. He does have ling speed finally. There is a lair on the way, but the problem is he's gone up to 45 drones, and realistically his 2 attempts at pulling out some cheese here were not very successful. Vero not a fan of cheese and did not have his crackers with the cheese at all. Stalkers now coming in. In fact, these Stalkers could probably just finish off the game, but not to be one to stand on ceremony. Vero brings along the rest of his forces. We've got the Sentries, we've got the Immortals, and that is going to be it for Blue Dragon. So an extremely quick game between these 2 players, and the lair goes down. The remaining units are forced down as well, and Vero going to be very happy about that win there. He's pulled it back. We're up to 2-2 in this set between Palantir and Intel, and we'll go into the ace match and see who is going to come out and face each other in the final game to decide who wins here in week number 3 of the After Hours Gaming League. So join me in game number 5 in just a moment.